The Democrats may well have lost the key races for the most part last Tuesday, but we've got a bit of a consolation prize that involves that guy who I am critical of, considering the timeline of everything that he was in charge of. But while he is going to be quitting soon, because staying on would be pointless, he would just be fired regardless. That doesn't mean we won't be getting anything. And I think he has one last chance to make some kind of difference. Whatever kind of difference is still allowed to be made in this bold new world we've entered into, I think that there is a chance. And so he will be stepping down before Trump takes over the DOJ. That much is clear. He's winding down the investigations. He's figuring out, what the timeline is. But and by the way, by December 2nd, we'll know sort of what that timeline will actually look like, because because Trump won and justice doesn't matter and the truth doesn't matter. But that said, department regulations call for him to file a report summarizing his investigation and decisions, a document that may stand as the final accounting from a prosecutor who filed extensive charges against Donald Trump but never got his cases to trial. And so he's gonna put something together. Now that's the regulation. This is a time in which those regulations still potentially matter, maybe not soon. Now, he could do something super minimal, just like, hey, we were gonna do this and it didn't work. Or he could pack it full of information and he could talk about the evidence and he can reveal maybe quotes that witnesses were on the record that they were gonna say if there had been a trial. Now there won't, but he could still reveal there's a lot that he could potentially put out there. And I know it's not gonna take down Donald Trump or whatever. Justice is in the rear view mirror, but maybe it's something. Sharon, what do you think?
It'll be a good read for people like us. And of course, you'll cover it on this show. And I want to preface what I'm about to say with, I hate when I get like this, where I'm just like, the glass is half empty. It's not going to matter. You know everything you need to know about Donald Trump. And no matter what this report says, even with no Bill Barr standing in the way to reinterpret it, okay, and misremember what it really said, I just don't think it's going to matter. It may frustrate people like us, actually. It may frustrate us.
Yeah, it might. Also, by the way, it might in the end not entirely be up to him because Merrick Garland is the one who would actually receive the report. So theoretically, that's one last obstacle to it actually getting out or potentially being redacted or something like that. Now, he has indicated that he does intend to release it. Again, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't edit it. And maybe he, after everything that happened, wants to get something done. But I would say, like him, to some extent, Joe Biden, but Merrick Garland arguably has been one of the most consequential figures of the last few years, despite not being someone that most people need to think about literally at all. His timeline for prosecuting these cases, his glacial Tortosian timeline for trying to get something like justice, maybe left us in the position we're in. And I'm not even saying because they would have locked up Trump so he couldn't run. I'm just saying maybe if people had known more about what he did, maybe not. Maybe that wouldn't matter. But I sure would love. I am the sort of person that wants more information. I want more information. I want more people to have more information. And Merrick Garland, indisputably, in his decisions, led to less information. People were less informed about what Donald Trump was, what he had done, what he had said, and all of that. And so I'm gonna be mad at him for quite a while. And he, like Jack Smith, has a chance right now to not screw up at least this one last little thing. I don't know if you have any predictions or what do you think?
We'll get the report, but them finishing strong in a tortoise and hare kind of fable, it does not impress me. That story also frustrated me because I'm a runner and I want to move fast, fast, fast. And Merrick Garland and his tortoise-like ways and his slow investigations. Okay, so you produce a report that shows this guy should be locked in a dungeon for the rest of his life. And then we don't get to do it. He's actually leader of the free world and entertaining Putin. Putin will probably be at the inauguration. So report Putin, report Putin. I said I hate it when I get like this. So I'm gonna try. I'm supposed to talk myself out of it and be positive.
Yeah, well, that was one of our bits of good news. So if that didn't get you, maybe number two
Oh,
will.
sorry.
We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm going to try to lift you out of your funk and everything. I will say I do not expect that Putin will be at the inauguration. I don't know. There were shots fired when Russian state TV dropped those Melania nudes. There was no reason they needed to do that, but they chose to. So, everybody needs to remember, we conflate Donald Trump bowing down to Putin with the way he talks about his relationship with Putin, that they have a good working relationship, mutual respect, they're friends. Those aren't the same thing at all. Him being willing to give Putin everything he wants doesn't mean that Putin won't slap him around on the world stage a little bit. And so, get ready for that too. Anyway, we will of course be watching over the next month and a half for the release of the report. We will let you know what is revealed at that point. And I also want everyone to bear in mind, some of the other cases theoretically still exist, and theoretically something could happen. It is incredibly unlikely, far less likely than it was just a few months ago, but hope theoretically still exists. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.